Hello, my goddesses. My name is Sherry Kumar of thegoddessprinciples.net, and today's video is called How to Date Like a Mindless Idiot. This video is based on a blog post I wrote back at the end of March 31st, and if you'd like clear instructions on how to date like an idiot, check out my blog, www.thegoddessprinciples.net/blog, and scroll down to March 31st. I will also post a link below along with all my other social media pages. If you have any questions for me, please feel free to email me or post your comments below, and I'd love to answer them in the near future. But back to dating like a mindless idiot, rule number 1 is buy a dating manual. That's right, just go to the bookstore and buy any book about dating. Doesn't really matter which book you buy, but they're all pretty much the same. The ones that do the best job of convincing you how to be an idiot about dating are the ones that really speak or push the buttons of desperate people or lonely people, people who really believe that there's something wrong with them, that they cannot attract a mate. I think a lot of dating manuals are written really to pull at the emotional strings of a lot of people and to disempower them and not to empower them. And I don't feel that they're healthy, but worse is that a lot of people really believe that they have to follow certain rules, very hard rules about how to get a member of the opposite sex to pay attention to them. And guess what? When you follow those rules and you don't get what you pay for, a lot of times people believe that there's something wrong with them, when really following rules to find a mate or to find companionship, what is that really? In my opinion, a lot of dating manuals are just an attempt at manipulation, or they teach people how to manipulate each other via text, via communication, via dress, via attitude. And they give people a lot of wrong preconceived notions about the opposite sex. They make people believe that, if the opposite sex does not respond to your tactic, that there's something wrong with them or that there's something wrong with you. Where really, what's wrong is the book. You're reading a dating manual, and we're human beings. We don't operate like a manual. We don't respond the same way. So just because you follow steps 1, 2, and 3 does not mean that you're going to get a date. People are more likely, we respond to physical and energetic cues. We read each other either consciously or subconsciously. And really, every human being has his or her own preference and requirements, and you can't expect that that human being will now act exactly the way you've been promised in that dating manual. So I'm very much against what I've been reading in them, and I read a lot of them, and I have a lot of clients who come to me for mentoring, and believe me, it's much more difficult to unteach them or get them to unlearn what they have learned from reading books about dating and relationships, because, and this is particularly true in America, people believe that there are these hard truths about dating, that there are rules that I must follow, and if I just follow the rules correctly enough, I too will be able to get a date. Well, no. Like I said, people are people, we're all humans, and we have different needs. And no, we don't respond to tactics or manipulation or text messages exactly the way a dating manual tells us to. The other rule number 2 about how to date like an idiot is to believe that there's a shortage of good men out there. And for men, a lot of them believe that there's a shortage of good women out there. And a lot of them, just the fact that someone has convinced you to buy a book or buy a manual means that they've convinced you that man is the prize. I must follow these steps in order to attain a man or a mate or a companion. No, I've never met a man who's a prize. I'm the prize here. I believe that, one of the things that dating manuals neglect to tell you is that you are the prize. You should value yourself 10 times more than you value getting a mate. And that shows right away, because a lot of people believe that finding a companion for life is one of the biggest purposes in life, and that's what all the romance books and the media tell us. And I don't think so. I value myself more than anything. I value my life, which is very rich and very fulfilling. I've built that all by myself, by investing in myself, by investing in my time, in self-development, in travel, in expanding my horizons. And the way to do that is all by yourself. I know a lot of people don't want to do that. They don't want to go that route because they believe that that's a lonely thing to do. And a lot of them are waiting for their mate or their soulmate before they're willing to embark on that process. But really, if you believe that you're the prize, you already have gone through that process all by yourself. And being single and being alone for a few years is not enough. The process is something that I coach people through. It takes years, and it does not come from reading a dating manual or romance manuals. And if you want more information about that, please email me and I'll direct you to some good sources of information. The other reason I hate dating manuals is that they make a lot of the readers believe in calculated moves. For example, there's a very famous rule book out there that a lot of women follow, and it particularly deals with modern day communication such as texting and how to get a man to call you rather than text you, or how to get a person to actually ask you out on a real date as opposed to just for coffee. Really, do you really need to respond to a text using a specific number of words? Do you really need to wait a specific number of minutes or hours before you respond to a text? Do you really think you're going to convince the person who's texting you that you're so busy that you don't have time to read your text? No, you're not. If we're human beings, we feel, we think on our own terms. We don't respond to what books tell us or what some manual is telling us about texting. I text people all the time, and I don't think any less of them if they respond to me very quickly, nor do I think less of them or more of them if they take 2 hours to respond. Really, if they take a couple hours to respond, that's my cue to not text them anymore. Will that prompt me to pick up the phone and call them and have a meaningful conversation with them? Hell no. My time is valuable too, so if you're not responding to my text, I'm not going to seek out your attention and now ask you to dinner to talk about stuff that you could have just explained to me via text. So you'll never be able to manipulate somebody into giving you the kind of date or the kind of attention you want by following rules about texting or emailing or how many minutes we should spend on the phone talking. It's ridiculous. We live in the 21st century. Yes, we're living in a much faster world, and much more people are relying on text because it's a convenience, because it's an easy way to communicate. And, it's time that we should, if you want to date somebody within your generation, accept the fact that the world has changed and that we all text. And unless you are willing to participate in the same kind of communication that your potential partner is communicating, and you're never going to convince them to drastically modify their behavior so they can communicate with you on your level or on your terms. They won't. They'll find somebody else who wants to text. The other thing that I absolutely hate about dating manuals is they promote a lot of very old-fashioned ideas that don't necessarily empower women. They disempower women. And one of the ideas that I absolutely cannot stand is the fact that a lot of people still believe that men and women have different needs when it comes to dating, and that therefore different rules apply for men dating and for women dating. And again, this is the 21st century. Our needs are not necessarily as different as they used to be. Things have changed. You know, women work full time. We make almost as much money as men. We take care of our own households. Do we really have different needs? No. Our needs, what I'm finding with the younger generation of women, is that our needs mimic very closely to what men need. Gone are the times when, you know, women needed commitment right away and men needed to go sow their wild oats. Things are changing and they're slowly reversing, and it's the opposite. You know, the women who are making more money at a younger age find today that they can afford the kind of lifestyle that gives them an opportunity to invest in themselves, to travel, to develop themselves, to postpone marriage and babies or settling down, because life is not about that anymore. Life is about me, the inner goddess. Let me discover that first. Let me take care of my own needs first, and then someday when I'm interested or when I find the right person, I'll do it. But the good thing today is that, you know, women are changing very, very quickly. Their needs are pretty much the same as what men need. And, you know, women today are dating multiple men at the same time, which is wonderful. They're dating younger men. It's a beautiful trend. I'm seeing that it's very, very common. Women are asking for younger, more athletic, more good-looking, more vibrant, more energetic men. Gone are the days when women are looking to rush into marriage and marry a man because he's safe and stable and secure. This is not the 1950s, and I like the fact that, you know, women can afford to date just as superficially as men used to date. Years ago, you know, it was the men who went out and sowed their wild oats. It was the men who didn't want to commit because they had a life to live. Today, you know, the younger a woman is, the more she gets that, the more she too wants to live her life and get to know herself. And this is a beautiful thing. So it's very old-fashioned to think that men and women have different needs. As a matter of fact, it's that oldest generation of daters who believe that, and it's really disturbing and disempowering. Women today are just as likely to date superficially, just for their amusement or for their experience, or simply because their needs are much lower. They don't really need anything serious anymore, and that's a beautiful thing. And rule number 5 for dating like a mindless idiot is read mass media. Pay attention to what the mass media is saying. I think this plays into a lot of how, and I've talked about this many, many times before, how mass media really portrays a sad portrait of single women. They would love us to believe that we're overeducated and that we have invested too much money and time into our education, into our careers, and that somehow today we have missed the boat and cannot find men in our own age groups who are qualified or want to marry us. Bullshit. I see a lot of people believe that, and a lot of people are depressed, and a lot of women are rushing to settle down and find a mate before their biological clock expires, and that's, you know, that is sad. However, that's not true for most women. Most women, come to me wanting to date younger men. That's because they realize that there's really, you know, for them, if they're successful and they have their lives taken care of, they don't need an older man for anything. They don't need an older man to pay their bills. They don't need an older man for his wisdom. Why? They're wise and educated themselves. They are stable and financially secure themselves. So mass media would like you to believe that these women are sad and lonely and desperate. Not true. Absolutely not true. As a matter of fact, I've been running one of America's biggest party networks for the past 10 years. And my observation, having hosted these parties, that really it's the older men who are suffering or losing out on the dating game. It's not the younger women. It's the younger women who have more options today simply because they have careers and a paycheck. And that because they have invested in themselves. And younger women, as soon as they have all of those things, realize they have choices. Choices enable us to wait, to take our time, to go out there, see the world, to have a good time, to learn, to experiment with dating, to learn about ourselves. And so the more choices we have, the less we need to date for being serious or to hunt a husband. Really, nobody, sure, there are women out there who are in a hurry, and honestly, I can't help them. I always tell those clients that I cannot help them. But the reality is that the world has changed to empower women, and the younger they are, the more they get it, that they don't have to rush into anything. So if you would like to date in a more empowered way, I strongly urge you to really trash all those books you bought in the past about dating and relationships. They teach you something very, very wrong, and for me, for somebody who tries to mentor people into improving their lifestyles and reaching that goddess within, it makes my job 10 times harder, because I have to spend a lot of time teaching these women how to unlearn everything they've been taught in the last 10 years. And also, never believe that there's a shortage of men out there. I'm living proof. I was married for 15 years. In the last 6 years, I've been having a ball. One year I calculated I've been asked out by 73 men in 1 year. My first year being single. That's when I was feeling my most pathetic and my loneliest. And so really, you're the prize. I'm the prize. We're all the prize. There's no reason to believe that a man is something that we need to go out there and hunt and get him to commit and settle down. No, we're the ones who are being chased. Again, never believe that it takes calculated moves to date another person. If you have to follow certain steps to get somebody to pay attention to you, you're definitely doing something wrong, and no matter what you do by following steps, they'll never pay attention to you. You gotta be you gotta be in touch with yourself, you have to reach that inner goddess, and I show you how to do that. But again, you're the prize, I'm the prize, they're not the prize. And forget this thing that men and women have different needs. That may have been true in 1949, maybe 1959. It's not true today. Women date for the same exact needs as men do. We are just as experimental about dating and have just as much fun as men do. We may not talk about it publicly. We don't share that information, how we date. I really believe that we should. And also, trash all your mass media. Switch off your TV. Get rid of your subscriptions, even the good ones, the New York Times. Don't read that shit. They'll have you believe that there's something wrong with being a single woman. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So if you'd like to read more about how to date like a mindless idiot, check out my webpage, www.thegoddessprinciples.net/blog if you want to read that particular post. All my links are below. Shoot me an email if you'd like to talk to me in person. I'd love to hear from you, and I'll post my Facebook page and the secret group below where we can all chat. Nice talking to you, and catch me later. I'm going to make another post soon. Thanks.